I believe that co-living is beneficial. I believe that by doing it and experiencing it and seeing it firsthand, the fact that it can impact people's lives is real. And there's a lot of things that I've done in my life, but that one, that's actually pretty cool. And the fun part about that statement is that the more investors that I talk to, others believe the same. And they're using real estate in this vehicle, in this niche, in a way that allows them to be an entrepreneur, but at the same time, scratch an itch that they in something they really believe. That's a shared feeling, and I think that the more people that talk to each other realize that they're not alone, and then they can lean on each other for support and resources and information, to actually help both and everybody else, push this belief system, this model, this helpful thing, um, into existence. That's what I'm recruiting for. That's what I believe in. And it's like I want to find other investors who believe in the same, share every single piece of information that I have in my head, of all the information that I've collected and sucked out of other investors' brains and their experience and their knowledge base. And then I want to share it, and I want to, you know, be shared with and learn from other investors. That's what I believe in. And I think together, that group of entrepreneurs, those are the people that are going to, make this co-living movement, this idea, this belief system, this investment niche, um, you know, become normal. And then by doing so, how many millions of people can have their lives affected and impacted and bettered? Like, forget everybody else, forget the people that may be taking advantage of the system that's there. Like, I think in anything, you're going to have that. But the true impact that people can have by saving 50% of what they pay in housing, like, that's absurd. When I actually think about it rationally, the amount of money that can be saved on housing if you just make an active choice, um, that tool exists, and we provide that. And so the investors that believe that that's the mission, and that by doing a good job, they're rewarded financially, um, that's a win-win that I am all for. And I think that it's possible that people can do it better. It's possible that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you have to utilize and pull from the other people, other industries, the people that have done it before, and just meld them into this model. And I think by doing so, if we can create a consistency, a level of expectation, then the people who have anxiety and fear about living in this space, living in a shared space with other people that they don't know, I think you can overcome that anxiety by being consistent on the delivery. Forget the other humans. The hope is that we're screening for good human beings, that have a shared philosophy, but those that actively choose to live in a better community. And the trade off is I have to be patient, and I have to have some empathy for the people that I live with. But if it's a shared common thread, then everybody's there who values like the betterment that it provides for them in their life. That's the common thread that is shared by most of the people in the house that I'm, managing and operating, is that by being cordial, or, more empathetic, or just more aware, and making a conscious decision to sacrifice a little bit of selfishness, sacrificing, a little bit of the me first thing. And it puts we, it puts, the group in a position where they can all thrive, um, a little bit more. It's not a, you know, one answer fits all type of thing, but it is definitely something that is real. And to watch it unfold um, it's really encouraging, and I think the more people that believe in that, then they're motivated to deliver a high quality product, which then has high quality impacts on people's real human lives. And it sounds corny, but like there aren't a lot of other things where I'm going to impact somebody else's life by doing something well. And I personally enjoy hospitality. It's like I have an entire history of growing up as a waiter and growing up, serving people, and this idea of like having a servant's heart. Um, it translates into real estate, and it translates into hospitality. It translates into like providing a better experience. Like I think about all the things in my life that are impressive. It is Disney World. It is Chick-fil-A. It is places, restaurants with great wait staffs. It's places that intentionally are trying to make my experience better, and that's memorable. And there just aren't a lot of places that do that in this world, but the places that do, they're notable. There's a reason why Four Seasons is still the Four Seasons. It's because everybody leaves there feeling great about their experience. And if they had a bad experience, they were typically acknowledged and addressed, not ignored and forgotten. So I think that's the reality about how I am approaching co-living and this business that I'm running inside of this house is if the member's experience can exceed what their expectation is, how do you lose when the math is just broken out by consistent people who consistently pay their rent, who care for the place that they're living, and they respect the people that they're living with? Um, that seems like a straightforward formula, and I know it's not super easy, but ultimately it's not super difficult. Um, it mostly comes down to selecting the right member and having an idea of what you think the type of member, the type of situation, the reason why they want to live at your house. That to me is the key indicator for trying to understand how to vet for somebody who will benefit from a co living facility. Like my philosophy is if you are actively looking and interviewing for somebody who wants to be in a co living facility, and we can communicate the value of what it brings to them in their life, then that's the person who's got stickiness. That's the person who has an intentional reason to want to stay. And in our model, tenure is gold. If you can have and provide a member experience where somebody wants to stay at your house and continue to pay rent over a long period of time and they get value out of that, why isn't that the ideal? And because of our math, if you can have 6 people doing that in a house, paying rent every week and respecting the house and respecting each other, that's a model that is highly successful, highly consistent, highly repeatable. And then ultimately, for us, the operator, the real goal is how do I stabilize that? How do I make that consistent? And that's the part that's super fun is when you start developing systems and running the business, because the experience in my mind can be curated like most things. And if you approach our business from that perspective of curating the member experience, you can be consistent on the curation because that's a system and a process and a repeatable experience that you're wanting to deliver. Um, if you ever think about it, like if you ever walk into a Moe's, a burrito place, right? You walk in and the guys yell, "Hey, welcome to Moe's." That's not not by design. You know, that same concept in our world exists, is if you can be consistent on A, the questions that you ask, B, be intentional about the questions that you ask when you're recruiting somebody, because you're trying to vet out the intention and reason why somebody wants to live in your house. And then after that, you break down into your systems on what's going to be delivered, communicated, expectations set. Once you set the expectations and you communicate them, and then somebody accepts those, then at least you have a baseline on which to refer back to. And people are going to deviate off it, and people are going to push off of it a little bit, but because you've set that expectation in the beginning, you have an anchor point that you can return to. Um, and if it, is consistent where they don't want to respect those, then that's when you move to, issuing a notice to vacate and asking the person, hey, this community isn't working for you. And if you're not going to commit to it, then the community would be better off if you weren't here. And from that perspective, it puts that person in a situation where they either want to stay and correct their behavior, or they typically will move on. So that piece of curation, that's on me, the operator. And that's what I'm talking about, why I think it's scalable. It's the same exact business models that other hospitality businesses have always used. So just implementing systems, being consistent, have them written down and then executed, and then being able to measure them, I believe that's what dictates the beginning of setting up the culture in your co-living facility.